Good morning. Today we celebrate the 27th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And today I'd like to focus especially on the second reading of St. Paul to the Philippians. It's interesting to note that when Paul is writing to different people, he writes differently, which should make sense to most people. So to the Philippians, he's always very joyful, it seems, because they're very receptive to his message, to the gospel message of Christ. And it's good to know that in Philippi was an area that consisted of retirees from the Roman army. So you had people who had spent years of service in the Roman army, and Caesar gave them Philippi as a kind of a place to settle down. It was a nice area, and they could just stay there and live with their families, live the rest of their days in comfort and peace as a reward for what they did for their country. And so, as Paul is writing to this group of people, we have to understand that this isn't just your regular group of citizens. These are people, men who fought in the Roman army. And so they're going to be men who are very disciplined, very virtuous. They're not Jews, they're Gentiles, but grace builds on virtue. And so the fact that the Romans, for the most part, before the decline of the Roman Empire, the Romans held many virtues. They upheld virtue, like honor, courage, sacrificing for one's country, for the good of the country. And so, if they already had this discipline with their lives and knew how to be ordered, how to be disciplined, how to be courageous, just imagine when they received the gospel message and they converted to Christianity, how God's grace could just build upon that. And that's why St. Paul, in the reading, is addressing how Christianity wants to take all these good things, all that is good and excellent, and to build it up, and to make it Christian, and to give it to God. That's why St. Paul says, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, just, whatever is pure, lovely, gracious, any excellence in anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Think about them, do them, follow them. So today is a good time to just stop and ponder our lives. Like, what in our life is good and what is worthy of being pursued? Like, what are we pursuing? Because once you lose your focus on what you're doing, where you're going, you can feel lost. And so let's say the best example would be, all right, I'm pursuing Christ. We should all be doing that. I'm pursuing Christ. How can I do that better? And how can I allow him to help me? So let's just go through this list of the things that Paul lists off. What do you do that is true? What in your life is true? What do you hold that is true in your life? Or what is honorable? Maybe it's someone else you know that you see. Maybe it's actions that you've seen or experiences you've had of honor. What in your life can you do that is just? Today in David City, we're having the life chain where we stand and hold signs and pray for an hour along the main street here and stand up for the rights of the unborn, pray for the end of abortion in our country. That is standing up for justice. That's something just that we can do. But we can be just at our work. We can be just within our family. Like, what is it? What in your life is just? What is pure? We live in a world where purity is seen as something old-fashioned and out of date, and the church needs to get with the times. But the sins against purity are just racking our country apart, driving it apart. So we need to. What in our life is pure, and how can we build upon that purity? How can we help our families remain morally pure as families? What is lovely? It might be your spouse, it might be your children. I love, as a priest at weddings, I get to go to tons of weddings, and I get the prime seating spot, or the prime location, I should say, for watching as the bride comes down the aisle. I'm right in the middle, just standing there next to the groom, hoping that, trying to encourage him that it's going to be okay, that his knees won't break and he won't fall apart. But as I see the bride coming down the aisle, dressed in white, her face just radiating joy. And then I look over and I see the groom, and he's just smiling, sometimes crying. It's wonderful, wonderful to behold. It's very lovely, and I hold on to those memories. I hold on to those experiences. Those God is in those, and those experiences help us draw closer to God. What is gracious in our life? How have we experienced gratitude from others? For myself, I received I received gratitude from someone when I was down in Mexico City. I was preparing to leave on the bus and from the city dump, and this man who's kind of a little rough around the edges comes running up and hands me a couple candy bars and thanks me for coming and visiting the people in the dump. This man had like nothing, and he was kind of like I said, rough around the edges. I didn't really expect something like this from him, but he just showed this gratitude, and I was humbled, and I was blessed to receive his generosity. So that is how I've seen gratitude. What in your life is excellent? What has God given you that is easier for you to do than others? Like everyone has gifts. Everyone has better things that they're more excellent at. Or maybe it's something you've strived all your life to get better at. And now how are you using that gift? Some people are really good at business, making money. Some people are really good at being hospitable, making people feel welcome. Some people can talk to anybody. Some people are intellectuals. Like, what is it? What is your excellence? What has God given you, and how you can use that to help further His kingdom? What in your life has been worthy of praise? Like maybe it's something you've done. A lot of times we look at that. What did I do that is worthy of praise? But also maybe it's committing to your vocation, living out your vocation, sacrificing the things you could do on your own, sacrificing that for what you do with your family, raising your family. Maybe what's worthy of praise is someone else in your life, someone who you look up to. Like who do you look up to, and how have they helped you? And also, have you ever had the opportunity or the courage to tell that person, thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for being someone who has influenced me. Like you are worthy of praise. Thank you for all that. So St. Paul wants us to talk about all these things because, my friends, the Christian life is a life that brings all that is good, all that is excellent, all that is pure, and raises it up to God. I mean, it's not always these things don't necessarily have to say church on them or catechism on them or Bible on them. These are like good virtues that God has infused in man, in our nature. And so we need to build them up. And God lets us have those experiences. He lets us have those persons in our life that influence us for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And He's done it to help us to become a saint. We can't choose the days that we live. Like, I can't live 100 years ago. I can't live 100 years in the future. I was giving this time right now. And that is all I need to become a saint, is the time given to me and God's grace and the people around me. God has placed that. Like, it is possible. It is very possible with God's grace to do that. So today, maybe take some time and look over that. That's St. Paul's letter to the Philippians, chapter 4, starts at verse 8. And it's just really beautiful. Just go through each of those, and maybe I'd even encourage making out a list. A priest maybe do that one time on a retreat, and it was very powerful. Just what is it that is truth, true, honorable, just, love, what is pure, gratitude, and excellence. Let's ask God to help us to grow in these, to be men and women of truth, honor, justice, love, purity, gratitude, and excellence. And let's raise these things up to God. May God bless you. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Take care.